together to have these kind of conversations today. And today what I want to talk about is the mythology around dump them. And we live in an era where that appears to be more and more the answer to things. Somebody annoys you, dump them. Somebody's toxic, dump them. Somebody's appears to be a narcissist in your life, dump them. Just go right down the list. Dump them, dump them, dump them, dump them, dump them. And that's a challenge, and it's a challenge on a number of reasons. One is that there's a certain self-indulgence to that. Like, I have decided that it is not healthy for me to be near to you, and so I'm going to withdraw. But you see, it's not of equals. It's this. It's like, here I am, and I'm the one who could truly judge your value or your worth to my life, and so I have to separate myself. That self-indulgence is very challenging. And it's hard to get through. And obviously, like, are there extremes where that's the case? Absolutely. 100% for sure there are times to do that. But I sometimes feel like we're overplaying our hand a little bit if we start doing it too much. If you have a list of people who you have, quote unquote, dumped from your life, probably need to take a look at that and see if there's a little ego thing showing up where you're deciding who's in and who's out. You need to be really careful with that. The other part of it, friends, is that when we start to live that way, just think, where does that path go? Just trace that out. And it doesn't go to a more connected world. It doesn't go to a world where we've learned one of the greatest gifts that God has to offer. What's that gift? Unconditional love. Learning how to truly unconditionally love another person is one of the biggest challenges in life and one of the biggest opportunities. And Jesus was so explicit about this. Like, he left no margin for error around this as well. One of my favorite parts to preach on is again, Jesus in the communion, Last Supper, however you want to call it. Those of you who are familiar with that event, the day before Jesus gets executed, he gathers his 12 followers. He says, would love to have shared this with you. So I'm about the Passover. And as he shares it, there's a number of people around the table. There's Thomas, who ends up being the doubter, one of the 12. Another one of the 12, Judas, ends up being the betrayer. So we have a doubter, we have a betrayer. And then you have everybody's audience favorite, Peter, who's the denier. So we have doubt, betray, and deny. Now imagine you had a group of 12 friends, right? And one of them was doubting you all the time, not believing you. The other was betraying you consistently. And the other one was denying that they even knew who you were. Like, hello, pretty easy to think, there it is, like, dump them, just get rid of them and move on, because we certainly have done that to other people for far less than what these three guys did. But I think Jesus is he's so gentle about it. I think Jesus is going like, yeah, just be careful with this, right? And I think this is a prime example where Jesus is showing, not telling. He's showing a way, and so much of it is this idea of Jesus, that Jesus is really here to show us how to be with other people. That's really critical. That's so much the Messiah's message, how to be with other people. And that changes the whole orientation of religion. If the orientation of religion is how do we be with other people, that's very different than kind of a perfectionist game of how do we sort of get enough points to get into heaven. I don't think that's it. I think Jesus is really interested in teaching us how to be with other people versus how do we keep score. And if you can really focus on that part today, I think the world will be a little bit better because you're in it. Because there's so many people in your world who just need you to just be with them. It's that simple. Just be with them. And that's what this is really about. It's not a dump them game. It's not a who deserves a space at the table, who deserves a space in the tent, who deserves, whatever. Those things are crazy and they're very human. And again, in extreme situations, totally necessary. But I think that idea of Jesus being with, I think that is really key. Jesus is here to teach you, to teach me, to teach us how to be with others and not how to sort. So do think about that, my friends, and have a day where you can live at least a little piece of that message as best you can. Because, when you try to move away from dump them and you just try to keep in relationship, of course, it's going to be messy, hard, frustrating, straining, and ultimately rewarding, because that's what God asks us to do. And we learn this thing called unconditional love. So I hope that makes sense, dear friends. And what we're going to do now we're going to shift gears. And as we shift gears, what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer a little meditation from the Old Testament, prayer from the New Testament, back to a blessing from the Old, and then we'll say hi to our friends who've joined us on Facebook. So with that, dear friends, let's get a little breath and a little meditation. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you, bring you peace, and bring you home. Amen. All right, dear friends, let's give a little quick, cheery hello to friends who might have been able to join us this morning. And again, I hope you all have a wonderful day ahead. All right, come on, Nellie. All right, Marcus, good morning to you, my friend. Always great to see you joining us, bud, and thanks for all you do, as always, for keeping us up and running every morning and every Sunday. All right. Martha, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. Linda, good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. All right, dear friends. Well, listen, God bless. Go have a great day being with